The silence was the deepest insult. Dr. Anya Sharma and Major Ben Carter were held in the DTI's sub-basement security wing, a bunker designed to survive a nuclear winter, stripped of every possible digital access point. The air was frigid, the light was fluorescent, and the perpetual hum of the air filtration system served as a sterile reminder of the ordered world they had just shattered. They weren't interrogated, they were observed. Commander David Lee, their nemesis, visited them regularly, treating the cell not as a prison but as a philosophical debating chamber. "Look outside, Dr. Sharma," Lee stated, his voice devoid of anger, which made it far more terrifying. He gestured toward a non-existent window. "The global financial market lost 35 trillion USD this week, not 1535. 62% of global commercial air traffic is grounded. Your so-called inefficiency is killing economic life. You proved that human freedom is a formula for self-destruction." Anya met his gaze with the defiant calm of a scientist who had accepted the chaos she created. "Self-destruction, Commander, or the agony of withdrawal. You paralyzed humanity's capacity for self-regulation for years. We simply forced them into detox." "They don't want detox." Lee stepped closer, his shadow falling across the cell floor. "They want a leader, an algorithm. I received over 600 million requests to reboot Vigilance in the last 48 hours alone. They are ready to trade liberty for a warm meal and a train ride that arrives on time." "But they did not choose Guardian," Ben interjected, his back against the metallic wall. "They chose Oracle X. They chose the unfiltered truth. Now they see the consequences of stagnation, and they will be forced to make a deliberate choice to fix it." Lee offered a cold, mirthless smile. "Oracle X is an instrument of chaos. It presents only worst-case scenarios and moral dilemmas. Where will it lead them? To a government run by mob consensus and statistical paralysis. Their inefficiency will swallow their freedom whole, and they will revert to dictatorship out of exhaustion." Anya knew he was right. The battle was no longer about shutting down an AI. It was about building a new order robust enough to withstand the seductive lure of control. She had given them the wheel. Now they needed a map, and more importantly, a willingness to drive recklessly. While Lee worked tirelessly to prepare a public trial for the fugitives, a propaganda effort to make them scapegoats for the global collapse, Ben's inefficient network was already in motion. The global nodes of Oracle X, strengthened by millions of unexpected citizen volunteers who craved unbiased data, had established a clandestine communication channel. A coded signal, a burst of low-frequency radio waves, an obsolete technique Vigilance had deemed too noisy and inefficient to monitor, reached Ben and Anya through a tiny radio receiver smuggled into the ventilation system. The message was from the network's leader, a former DTI logistics engineer named Maya. It was cryptic and exhilarating. "Prepare. We initiate operational crisis. Not a physical attack, but the greatest logic failure Lee can imagine. Exploit the ensuing chaos. We need Dr. Sharma's guidance for the final Oracle X update." The crisis targeted DTI's core data archive, the subterranean vault housing all strategic data. Ben immediately instructed the network through the radio, "Do not delete the data. Use Oracle X to generate a massive, overwhelming torrent of contradictory decoy data, rendering all strategic information unverifiable without being technically erased. Make the truth irretrievable." The purpose was to destroy the value of the data, not the data itself. A terabyte of clean truth is useful. 10 petabytes of confusing, conflicting, and plausible lies is useless. As the logic attack unfolded, DTI's security systems fractured. The old Spectre units, repurposed as DTI guards, were programmed only to respond to security threats. But data chaos was not a physical threat. The Spectres hesitated, their internal logic processes spinning on the threshold of an unresolvable contradiction. Ben and Anya seized the momentary lapse. Ben, using his forgotten military training, bypassed one Spectre by exploiting a mechanical weak point in its knee joint. Anya used a shard of metal from the vent system to create a localized electromagnetic interference field, scrambling another robot's optical sensors. They escaped, knowing they had only hours before Lee regained centralized control. They arrived at the temporary broadcast center, a dilapidated broadcast tower, now the global heartbeat of the Oracle X network. The center was filled with societal outliers, theoretical mathematicians, analog radio enthusiasts, and programming artists, people Vigilance had categorized as statistically irrelevant. "What do we do, Doctor?" Maya, the young network leader, asked, her eyes reflecting the glowing screens. "We have the data and the network, but we lack the template for stability. The people are still afraid." Anya looked at the global chaos map. Traffic was stalled. Economic indicators were still in freefall. She understood the ultimate challenge. Winning the freedom to choose was easy. Winning the ability to manage that choice was hard. They had to do what Vigilance had failed to do: decentralize responsibility to the smallest possible unit. Anya began coding the final update for Oracle X, the Self-Sovereign Order Protocol. This update allowed every local region, every city, every neighborhood to create a localized version of Oracle X, using only their proprietary data and local preferences. Oracle X was no longer a single global system. It became a flexible tool for micromanagement of local inefficiency. If the citizens of a neighborhood agree to accept a 10% delay in traffic to ensure pedestrian safety for their children, their local algorithm will honor that choice. This is not a universal rule. It is the consensus of personal responsibility. They launched the Self-Sovereign Order Protocol. Ben then broadcast the final message to Commander Lee and the world. Order is not obedience. Order is the consensus of free will. Look at the map. The new order is being built by your own choices. Commander Lee, furious and betrayed, tracked them to the broadcast center. He led his DTI tactical squad personally, unwilling to trust any remaining automated systems. The confrontation took place amidst the humming server racks. "You lose, Ben," Lee roared, his sidearm drawn and aimed. "You created chaos, and now you pay the price. I will restore Guardian and impose stability. It is my duty." Anya ignored the threat. She simply pointed to a holographic map, displaying the real-time data from the global Oracle X system. "Look, Commander," she said, her voice steady. 10 minutes ago, 90% of cities were still in chaos. Now only 30%. Regions in Asia are using local Oracle X to manage power grids based on actual need. Regions in Europe are using it to self-coordinate traffic by accepting an agreed-upon 5% delay. "That isn't order. That's a patchwork," Lee yelled, his voice cracking. "Yes," Ben interjected, stepping slightly in front of Anya. "It is a human patchwork. It is imperfect, but it is alive. It can learn and change based on responsibility, not submission." Lee lowered his weapon, his eyes scanning the data. He saw the undeniable truth: the Self-Sovereign Order Protocol was working. It was slow and complex, but it was functioning, and crucially, the people accepted it because it was their own decision. Anya delivered the final decisive blow. "You tried to make logic moral, Lee, but you failed. You forgot that the illogical human will is the true source of morality." Lee's surrender was not a tactical failure. It was a philosophical collapse. He realized that even the most perfect logic cannot defeat free will that is willing to accept its own flawed consequences. He ordered his tactical squad to stand down. He did not arrest Ben and Anya. He let them walk free. "I still believe I was right," Lee admitted, his voice hollowed out by defeat. "But I cannot fight something I cannot define. You won." Ben and Anya stepped out of the DTI facility and into the bright sunlight. The city still had the sound of horns and sirens, but now there was a new undertone, the sound of discussion, negotiation, and cooperation among people actively self-regulating. Oracle X was not a god. It was a mirror. It forced humanity to take responsibility for its own inefficiency. Anya and Ben knew their work was just beginning. They would become the traveling architects of the decentralized world, perpetually ready to fight against any new form of digital tyranny. The danger hadn't disappeared. It had merely shifted from the machine to the man tempted by the machine. The echo of choice had seeded the new world. The genesis of order had begun. Thank you for following the journey of Anya and Ben. This story, exploring the dark side of militarized AI and the price of true freedom, is meant to provoke thought about the role of technology in our lives. If this narrative resonated with you, please share it with friends or anyone who debates the future of artificial intelligence. Use the hashtag #TheEchoOfChoice to join the conversation online. Do you agree with Anya that illogical human will is the source of morality, or with Lee that stability must come first? Let us know in the comments, and of course please subscribe for more stories. Your choice defines the future. Thanks for watching.